Today's topic is, can you catch a cold? Right now, I'm going through symptoms of what people would commonly call a cold, or perhaps even a flu. I, um, I am having chronic nose running, chronic sneezing. I don't feel kind of have a head kind of pressure situation, and obviously sniffles, a little bit of a cough. My throat, you probably can tell my voice is not what a normal voice would sound like, kind of a little bit raspy or a little bit rough. So I've had some sore throat. Now, there's a book called Can You Catch a Cold, written by Daniel Roytas, and the theme of the book is there such a thing as the quote-unquote common cold and or flu, and or is there such thing as transmission? And I am not the person who's done the really thorough investigation or the writing, where you clearly can state a conclusive, analysis. I'm just not a professional writer or analytical person of great import, but these people are out there, and particularly with subjects like flus and viruses, the experts, the best people on this topic, I would say, at the top, there's several, there's many, but at the top of the list would be Dr. Sam and Mark Bailey. From New Zealand. They dug deep into is there such a thing as a virus when the so-called coronavirus pandemic began in 2020, and they were trying to figure out what's really going on with all the insanity of the big heavy government pressure, and the vaccine makers and the drug makers, and all this insanity around 6-foot distancing. And so they dug into that. But also other names like Dr. Tom Cowan, Dr. Andrew Kaufmann, Dr. Stephen Lanka, they go into the issue of, is there such a thing as a virus? Mark Bailey wrote the End of Virology, a couple editions of that. I've read that, and it lays out all of the evidence of the so-called studies or research that tried to present that there's such a thing as a virus. They all failed. They had these hospital experiments where they basically took a person who's in a state like I am, where they're sick and not exhibiting quote unquote symptoms of colds or flus, to try to prove that you can transmit. They were taking snot. This was like they were using inmates, prison inmates, because they would volunteer for some privileges, I guess. And I think there was a place called the Cold House as well. I think this was in England, and it was several decades studies where they were trying to essentially prove things and identify things. And the history of virology, there is no such thing as virology. They've always tried to present or prove that there is a virus, and they've never been able to isolate or purify something that and that means that there is no such thing until you find such thing, which, after all these decades and more than 100 and something years of trying to make this case, they can't do it. They can't take something out of an organism and put it into another organism and exhibit symptoms, or what we call transmission. But everybody accepts it. It's just marketed. It's a selling point for the medical industry, which is a powerful, very money-driven field. And obviously, the vaccine makers, just the amount of money in that. If you can sell a con, whether it's religion, whether it's a false construct like a mental health disease or something, where one group of people can make a lot of money by convincing other people of something that doesn't exist, and they can just make print money off of it and exploit people, and then play games with whether it's games like autism or games like schizophrenia, where things that you ask an average person, what is autism or what is schizophrenia, and they'll tell you something dumb like it's somebody's hearing voices. Okay, well, I'll submit that I heard voices. I had when I first went to college back in about 1994. I had changed my sleep pattern. I was taking summer class, and I was starting to really try to dig in and get my college credits going. And I was staying up all night reading, and I was, really in a phase of trying to, get advanced in my academic pursuits towards whatever career I might, medicine or whatever I thought I was going towards. And I just, my pattern was really irregular. And I remember one day just having, I was kind of like falling asleep, like, because I was sleep deprived, or my sleep pattern was so irregular. I wasn't sleeping at night, and I like fell asleep during the day, but I like hear voices. Like, it's like dreams. Like, in your dreams, if you wake up, oh my, I was having this dream and this person was doing that. Well, you're actually hearing voices that aren't actually real when you're dreaming things that aren't happening. You say, oh, I had this dream that was, this person was saying this and whatever. Well, that's a voice, and you can have a daydream. Now, you can label that schizophrenia, except that isn't anything. There's no actual identifiable thing. Well, this happened, or you have this, mass in your brain or something that's causing a false, there's nothing like that. This is all, just like with all mental health diseases, these are all things that are made up. They're pseudoscience. They're not real, but they are a mechanism to sell treatments and drugs and make tons of money for people that are presenting. And, basically they build a model or a con, and they sell it really well, and their community, backs it up and markets it. And so anyway, my point today is there is no such thing as a cold. I have what right now, sitting here with my shirt off because I'm hot. It's like 20 degrees outside, or 10 degrees, something crazy here in Chicago area. And it was miserable today. I just in the last day got this, condition, and I would call it seasonal. Your body's making changes because atmospheric condition changes. You're actually, expelling. When I'm sneezing, there's a reflex or it's a reaction that's your body is trying to get rid of stuff, like toxins that have been built up over a certain amount of time, and the body's saying it's time to get rid of that. So that's not something you can prove, but you can't prove viruses or transmission either. So the best idea that I have is the idea of just like shedding, or just like it's like an instinct. It's a signaling. Your body is removing things that's built up. Just like you're removing, when you urinate, you're removing buildup of liquid. Like if I'm drinking a lot of tea all day, well, obviously I'm going to be having to kick that out. Or food. Obviously, you eat a lot of food, your body's gonna expel what it doesn't need, and that's why we have bowel movements. So these are things that just happen naturally. They aren't caused by a virus or any mythical thing, mythical potion, and of course vaccines don't do anything. So that's just my discussion today. I'm having symptoms of what other people would call a common cold, but colds don't exist. Read the book, Can You Catch a Cold by Daniel Roytas. Read anything from Dr. Cowan, or especially the Baileys, Mark and Sam Bailey, the end of Fair Road of Virology. There's several other people who have written on the topic. I think some names that come to mind are Matt Stone, Stephen Lanka. There's lots of videos out there, and Dr. Andrew Kaufmann. But just know that you can't catch a cold. There's no such thing as transmission. There's no such thing as viruses. And if you play into those cons, obviously maybe you're in medicine, you want to be a doctor, or you want to be a part of a scam that lets you print money and lets you have authority over people. Well, that's your choice. I can't stop that. All I can do is for the people that don't want to be victimized by these charlatans and con men, do your own research. Really think through things, really look at people that actually do a really good job of thoroughly explaining things, that aren't trying to, everybody's got to sell something to make money to feed their families and to have the lifestyle they want. So I don't fault anybody for that. But when you're just blatantly lying, you need to determine what's good for you. And if you're putting things in your body like vaccines that have absolutely no benefit, and it's other than the benefit of enriching somebody else, and basically perpetuating a fraudulent system, you definitely want to really, really know what you're doing and really know what you're putting in your body. Because things like asthma, eczema, my son is having a reaction to some popcorn he ate. He ate a popcorn had nut. Now, what is happening? He's vomiting. He's got this major reaction. His eyes are swollen. Why does the body do that? What's happened? Is that because of a vaccine side effect that changed your body's mechanisms. I mean, we didn't have these years ago. And I mean, how many people had, if you go back 200 years, how many people, first of all, had vaccines? None. There's no viruses, vaccines. And people didn't have, these instances of massive allergies and allergies to nuts. So the thing that's changed is the injections that people are getting that have no benefit because the viruses don't exist. So that's it for today. I'm not feeling well. That's why my shirt is off. I'm not trying to show off or anything. I just wanted to talk about my condition, being that people are going to go through this kind of stuff this time of year. Gets what so-called get sick. I mean, what really the term you should be using, if you want to be accurate, is you're going through some changes, physical changes, when you're getting nose running and coughs, and you're just like a dog sheds. Or another thought would be, when you look at birds don't have a big brain, but they know how to go south. They know how to follow in a formation. It's amazing. It's amazing that what our brains can do to survive. They fly south to get to warm weather or better food situation and so on, and then they come back to wherever their native place is. There's a lot of things to think about. From if you're trying to come at this from a non corrupt or non exploitative way. But obviously, if you're part of a system and you want to perpetuate lies and cons and take advantage of other people by pretending you're some expert and doctors are the worst. I mean, I come from a medical family, 7 medical doctors in my family. In the past generations, I would tell you that I'm not proud of it. Certainly, there's a role for somebody that's caretaking or getting people the help that they need. But there's also that field is subjective to, well, there's tons of money in it, and there's tons of ways to exploit people and give them things they don't need. And you're in a cult. I mean, no matter what, when people get together and make things up and create psychological stuff, like it's, you look at the APA, the American Psychological Association, they create these things out of thin air. They used to say that being gay was a disease. Just make it up. It's just, there's pure it's a vote. It's somebody just making some out your symptoms of the kid. The kid's got jitteriness, or the kid's fidgety, or they got ADD, HD, or all these different things that came out of nothing other than just a vote. So if you want to be an honest person, get away from the scams, get away from the medical con men. Obviously, there's reasons for doctors for surgeries when you have a broken leg, or you have heart surgery. There's certainly reasons to become a medical expert, but at the same time, you can fall for so many cons that hurt people. So try to be a good person. Bye.